Underground's Hidden Penthouses Volume 2 or the Rolling Meadows. Elm Hill. Elm Hill was like the block. Elm Hill was like the block where the 5%ers were, part 3 and shit. They would be outside the apartments chilling. The buildings were like apartment complex a few stories high. There was steps and a ramp for wheelchairs. It was built on a hilly part of Roxbury. It was Science Christian building. There was a Science Christian building nearby. As you walk down the hill to the buses and cars headed downtown via Blue Hill or whatever. It was also close to Grove Hall again, just a walk down the hill and near all the little pizza shops and stores. It was sandwiched between Seaver, Grove Hall area, Humboldt, and another street. It was a clean looking area, almost pleasant, except for the tense looking brothers in front of the building. I'll hang around and they would talk the 5% type of conversation. Very rarely was I hanging around over there, bro. Alright. Brolic dudes sitting in front of the building, some saying absolutely nothing the whole time, some discussing different concepts and ideas. It'd be like 5%. They'd rip you for eating anything that had pork in it. The discussions would have to do with God and the realms of belief associated with the concept of God. It'd be like 5%. As welcoming to conversation as the brothers might be, they had a tendency to talk over people where getting a word in edgewise would turn into a battle damn near. 5%. 5%. There were all these younger guys around chilling, and this one skinny older guy chilling sitting on the steps as well. They were respectful to him, but otherwise came across as very tense, almost frustrated looking. I spoke with them and walked to Grove Hall while listening to their conversation one time. One of them hassled me about eating a pack of Skittles. I had already bought them, so I kept eating them after he said they had pork in them. It was a sunny day on the hill. I used to pass by Elm Hill on foot, headed to work or school banging woo. I ran into a black Spanish guy, Colombian, selling weed. He was kind of tall. He had a mixtape he was selling for $5. I told him I ain't have any bread. He gave me his CD anyway. He was good. The CD was alright. Back then people would sell mixtapes hand in hand. One of the girls from school lived near all that. She was like older and would burn with friends and argue with the 5%ers that went to the junior college upstairs. They be in class high as hippies. Movies, whatever. She would say, "Get on my nerves." People will always have a little issue with them, but mostly it seemed to be due to their way of talking. Sometimes you couldn't get a straight answer out of them. They'll talk in crazy circles till you kept asking what they believed in and all that. The ground was asphalt and concrete with little foliage and little trees here and there. The area had no real smell. It was maybe a little aroma of marijuana leaf burning from time to time, but just open air like. Unless people were outside chilling in front of the building, it was quiet. It was out of the way of the large arteries, so it was unnecessary for extra traffic to fly by, but it was like a little shortcut to things in walking distance. At night, the brothers would be in the cuts in back of the apartment buildings. Back then, the guys around Elm Hill would smoke and rap or build or chill. Again, I used to just pass by headed to work and maybe headed home or make my late night runs to Grove Hall to put checks in their bank or buy mixtapes and shirts and cookies and stuff. I did security in the building on Elm Hill at least once, or I had to stop through for some reason or another. At night it was dark. The streets would be the only light, but the people would hang out in the back street areas. It would be dimly lit. The 5%ers on Elm Hill passed green and rap one time. I was high rapping gibberish. I was like blah blah blah. Some of the buildings used to be Jewish. You could tell because of the Yiddish Hebrew letters on the sides of the buildings. Back then, the church on the corner of Elm Hill and Seaver was bombed out like a fire hit it, and the building next to it probably a Hebrew school or something. Back then, Papoose was buzzing crazy. Our Cop at Grove Hall, J Love, DJ Rec, Cutmaster C mixtapes. That's it. Kendra, a girl who went to my school, threw a party over there. Some of the god body on Elm Hill was shice though. While the green burned and the rappers rapped, a couple of the brothers plotted a diabolical plan to execute in a later moment. It was like 5%. They'd be like, peace God. Be like, peace Lord. They would greet like that. Listen, we need to get this money. My BM getting on my nerves, one of the guys said. The other, his friend says, yeah, I hear you. I'm under pressure from my family as well. More dialogue. It come to a point where we have to do something. I agree. You know Fancy Cuts? Fancy Cuts was a barbershop on Humboldt, the other end of that particular set. I think we should hit up Fancy Cuts, God. Yeah. There was agreement from the rip. They discussed how to go about it. They lock up around 8 to 9 during the week. We can mask up and handle our business. They agreed. Just two of the guys from the 5% section ironically decided to hit up the shop that showed the greatest support for the NOI and Farrakhan and all that. They decided to do this at night. They returned to the company of the rest of the brothers who were freestyling with blood red eyes. Music blared in the background of a basement party. They staked out Fancy Cuts in a borrowed tinted car. The barbershop didn't deserve that shit. The hard-working barbers dutifully opened in the mornings, popped shit, and lined up the surrounding community. While the clippers buzzed, the barbers would build and joke and pass the time. Barbershop conversation number 1. You see that chick next door? Yeah, I see her. I bagged. I'm gonna bring her to the crib tonight. Yo, her dude, this, that, and the third. Yeah, she ain't say anything like that. Yeah. Dude crazy, I'm telling you. You better at least address that. Barbershop conversation number 2. Yo, I'm copping the X6 when I get this line of credit. Yeah, whatever. You might be getting the Y6, but you not getting no damn X6. Not with your bullshit clientele. Yeah, whatever. Barbershop conversation number 3. Listen, I got tracks. I got a laptop and an MCPC hookup. My drums off the hinges. Listen, I'm selling them 2 stacks. 2 stacks? You better off giving them out. Get your name out there with the artists. Yeah, I need the money, straight up. Barbershop conversation number 4. Farrakhan? Yeah, brother, Farrakhan. The brothers gotta support one another. True. That's why black guys in this mess fronting on the nation. Right. No one gives a flying fuck about the black man in America. The nation at least got a brother's back. Yeah. Barbershop conversation number 4. My artist got a mixtape out. Support that. He doing joints with Ja Rule and Mobb Deep and all that. Just give me 5. And then back to the robbers. Like any other barbershop, they chilled and cut hair. Unfortunately, they didn't peep the tinted black Honda parked across the street, double checking how to successfully rob their business. The two plotting in the tinted black Honda really didn't care that it was a good cheer and hard-working movement and all that. They quietly watched the comings and goings of the barbers and the ebb and flow of the clientele. They seen them open, they seen them close. They had all they fathomed to press the brothers within the shop. The only worry was perhaps the brothers kept heat. The stylist didn't flash or brag, so that element was unbetrayed. The 2 rogue god bodies agreed to take that risk with their element of surprise jukes move. They weren't ready, but they were too hungry. I'm gonna throw the money from my cut in my BM face, the other nigga said. And then the other guy said, I don't know about all that, but I know I'm gonna clear my damn lease. They salivated at all the customers in 3-block radius patronized their shop. One of them thought, we gonna be rich. Fancy cuts was popular, but they were being a little too greedy. One of the barbers finally did notice the tinted out Honda in front of the bodega across the street. The barbershop barber said, "That black Honda been there for days, my G. I never seen no car like that." The other barber said, "You paranoid." He said, "Yeah." They convinced the anointed barber to stop being paranoid. Some god bodies just came home to feisty baby mothers and janky leases. Should the ribs touch, whole areas become piranha kibble. The two 5%ers couldn't take their eyes off the location they had agreed to hit. No bubble, no sunny day scenery could move them. He thought, I see God, all I see is paper. All right, God, everything is real. A cop car slowly glided by the two and skated up the intersection to Siva. "You think?" one of them said. "Nah, no way, we just sitting chilling," the other one said. "Yeah." They refused to ponder the maybe of law enforcement privy to their bullshit, knowing it would dilute the morale of their plot. One of the barbers scarfed down a plate of fish and chips. A Spanish female walked by in yoga pants. A flunking college student wandered out of the barbershop and into the bodega. The student walked out with a Nas CD lined up like a G. Fall into the love. If you run out of ideas, just trick money on ladies. One of the brothers staking out the shop got bored and turned on the radio. "What the fuck is this shit?" "Who knows, Lord? Just keep it quiet." "Yo, turn that shit off, God." Mars is for brothers. One of the barbers was eating a scrumptious platter, eyeing the Dominican Jones strolling out the salon next to the shop as usual. A lady seen something. "I don't trust that car in front of the bodega, Papa. You seen that?" "Yeah, that's what I said," one of the barbers said. One of the chicks said, "There's some black guys in the wheel, but they not buying shit." The barber said, "Yeah, you right." She pointed at the all-black Honda. The driver panicked. She goes, "Of course I'm right." The driver is like, "I'm out of here, God. They on us and shit." The lady, satisfied they dipped, went back in the salon. The barber, swayed by the brothers in the shop, thought nothing of it. She thought, "Nosy ass dudes." The barber was like, eh. One of the 5%ers. "The main duty of the brothers is to remain civilized. The main duty of the brothers is to remain civilized." The words of one of the authors and orators of the 5% Nation rang in the brothers involved in the stakeout mind. He knew the actions were led up to events which could be considered anything but civil, but he also pondered, "Fuck we got left? Clown me? Dudes is savages year round. I got knowledge of self. I just gotta get through this stage and time period with the edgewise movement that's street." He was high, conscious fucking with his moral caliber. His BM calling his phone. "Peace, devil dick. Damn Moni, who gets on the phone like that? I need you to do your part, you shit bag." He's like, "What?" They been plotting on the shop. He forgot to pick up his daughter from somewhere or another. "Listen, you gonna neglect your offspring. There's nothing to talk about. I don't need you." He's like, "Damn, what? I forgot. This is crazy. I got some other shit on my mind. I got your money and all that." Click. He had an exhausting BM and all that. The other brother was just greedy, needing to make ends meet. Although it was straight like a Cain and Abel story, they picked up a couple slices from Grove Hall. They had all the facility to do what they had to do. They sat in the wheel in silence. The plan was planned. One stressed the self-righteous conflict. The other just thought about things to piss himself off and want to rob brothers even more. One ain't even really want to, but would. The other was eager to rob people Black Mass style, a recipe for disaster, but still. They started preparing. They each loaded one typical gray steel Glock, put the black mask over their head and sat. They turned the car off and waited. The shop closed up in a little. As usual, they sit in a little further up past the bodega, one tense, the other quietly excited. As the last of the customers left, the barbers swept up the hair on the ground, prepared to lock up. Not being able to contain rushing out the door still happens even at the barbershop. The other brother dapped the owner and skated with their cut of the day's work. Some paid their rent or whatever, but everyone but the dread in the front had left. It was time. Darkness had enveloped the sky. The bodega had already closed hours ago. They ran up to the barber shop with Glocks in hand, masks on. "Don't get loud, Ock. We just want the money." One pushed them back into the shop. The other played lookout. Certain that his life was on the line, the dread capitulated and handed the thieves a box with some of the barber's rents and his day's worth of work. The hammer, they pondered, was on him, but nowhere obvious, so they didn't get to it in the pat-down moment. With the lockbox in hand, the hyper one backed out the shop backwards. He shot one shot in the air to frighten the dread. They were covered by darkness. The driver started the engine and they dipped. As corny as it was, the dread pulled out after they ran out the store and bust shots at the escaping thieves. The dread thought, that goddamn black Honda, Miss DR was right and shit. The dread called the police and filed a report. The dread also called local shooters and put a monkey stack on the head of the two thieves. He was upset being right the whole time. The dread's people came to the front of the shop and police took down info for a report. The black Honda was stick-up kids. "Oh shit, say word," the other barber said. The dread was like, "Word." The dread continued. "They was in a wheel. They peeled out down Humboldt." Then it was like, people were so useless in those type of moments. The police left. Everyone realized they were totally not doing a damn thing. The dread was pissed, but he handled the moment the best it could go damn near. They took $1,200, 6 for me, 6 for you. One brother shook his head. "I'd expect more from all that clientele." The other brother was thrilled at the results. "Oh shit, what a rush, huh? We could give it a month and do that again, Lord. I gotta get out of here. I'ma shoot this little stack to my BM. Drop me off." His BM wasn't far from the hill. He knocked on her door. She came to the door. He threw the money in her face and hopped back in the wheel, and they zipped off back to the hill. She's like, "Fucking faggot." She picked up the money and walked inside. They parted ways when they got back to the hill. No one expects much from the police. The other brother didn't have to worry about a BM. He paid his rent and hoped to rob the shop again. Someone is always watching is what they say, and this time was no exception. The days of plotting had another couple eyes pondering hours before. They borrowed the wheel for hours sitting at the top of Humboldt. One of the guys from the hill who knew them like acting strange or whatever. When the police and money on people's heads showed up, everyone knew who was responsible. "Yup, these two dickheads from Elm Hill. I know that car. I recognize it anywhere. Yeah, the two knuckle faces from Elm Hill." Other people are saying, "You don't gotta explain, my dude. These two dumb dudes from the hill. Hold me down." "One on the hill bragging about it," another man said. Had the Glock 9 like. The question wasn't who they were, cause they was moving so hot and past occurrences. The question was where they at. "The other with his BM, why?" One of the guys said, "Oh, word? Stack of money on him? Shit." The police wandered up Elm Hill to see 4 or 5 guys outside the building. "We're looking for 2 guys involved in a barbershop robbery, driving a black Honda. Seen them?" The hill is like, "No, sorry, officer." "All right, let's see some ID." The one bragging on the block ran into the building. "That's him. Suspect getaway on foot, Elm Hill area." They chased him through the cuts of the building. The other one close by arguing with his BM. The one bragging told on his men. They both had to do a year for robbery with a deadly weapon.